Hello and welcome, late nighters, yeah. Um, this is Late Night Ramblin' with your host, Heretic of You. And tonight we got kind of a doozy. So I gotta warn you, if you're sensitive to foul language, this is not a video that you need to be listening to. So just go ahead and exit the door, or click your mouse button, or you know queue up another video, because this one's going to be kind of a rough ride, children. Okay, so with that out of the way, let me just say I was going to totally do a different video, had a completely different subject in mind until this article dropped. I figure I would talk about it because, well, let's just say that the article doesn't take its subject very seriously. Um, and I'll point out why. I don't think this guy was very serious when he is asking this question, but I think at the end of the day, it is a legitimate question that we need to ask ourselves. And I just figure, instead of getting pissed off, because I think that's what he was aiming for. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to link the article down below. It's going to be in the description. Um, but basically, the author, Abused Puppy is his name, or Abuse Puppy. It's an odd name. Um, Poses the question of why there are no women in wargaming. So, right off the bat, you're probably saying, well, there are women in wargaming. I know a few. That's right. So, this guy, he's going to be painting with a really broad brush. Um, the title alone should give you a cue to that. I mean, we can just go to YouTube, and I think I'm going to use YouTube as kind of my what I'm going to use to kind of dispute this, because um, well, we do know that there are YouTubers that wargame, and we do know that there are female YouTubers that wargame. So right off the bat, the title is just meant to, well, they call it clickbait, just meant to kind of pique your interest and see what this guy has to say. Um, and when I say he paints with a broad brush, I am not kidding. Let me just give you a quick excerpt of his answer, okay? So he says the answer is really simple. To be brutally honest, the answer is you. Women avoid this game like the plague because of you. Let me see. Let me jump to another part here. So I'm going to skip a paragraph, and then he says, so I say again, the reason why women don't play this game is because of you. Every one of you playing this game, every person in this hobby, you're driving them away from this hobby. Okay, so not just certain people or certain type, it's every single one of us. That would include the women that actually do play tabletop games. So when I say it's pretty tough to take this article serious, it's pretty tough to take this article serious. But I thought it was, interesting, and I think a lot of people either got pissed or thought it was funny. I'm more of I'm leaning towards I can't take it seriously. Therefore, a lot of the shit that he says is funny. But I thought we would take his question seriously and try to examine it. It is a pretty valid question. So, why are there very few, too little, to no female wargamers? Well, now let's think about this. There are really very few wargamers. Um, is it fair to say most women don't wargame? That is correct. But it is also fair to say that most men don't wargame. Not a lot of people wargame in the first place. And there are several. Ooh, it's cold. There are several reasons for why people don't wargame in general. I mean, this hobby is very labor intensive. I mean, let's really break down our hobby for a second. It involves assembling dozens, if not hundreds, of models, painting them. Most times you have to go to a game store or build terrain yourself. You're going to have to paint the models yourself. The games themselves last a pretty long time. So to most people, this is not a hobby. It sounds like, actual freaking work. The author acts like, there's a line of women out there that are just dying to get into this hobby, but us gamers are in the way. We just we stop them and say, no, we don't want you in our territory, which is a pretty funny statement, because we all know, just based on YouTube alone. Let's just use YouTube as our way of measuring things. Okay, so I would say your average gamer channel or tabletop wargame channel, like myself, we're lucky to get 1,000 subs, 500 subs. Okay, so we're gonna look at. Let me just pull up YouTube here. Let's look at, for example, girl painting, one of my favorite channels, and just happens to be a female wargamer. Okay, so, and one of the most respected people in the community. Let's look. So I'm on her page right now. And how do I see? So 31,000 subs. Okay. She did a video a day ago, and she's got 441 views on a finished 3D token for Magic the Gathering. Those are pretty good numbers. Those are pretty solid numbers, saying that the community in general supports this female wargamer. We don't want her to go away. I couldn't get 400 views in a month, and she's getting it in a day, and she's just one of many female wargamers just on YouTube. So yeah, think of it that way. But going back on topic, so this isn't exactly the most easiest hobby to get into. There's a lot to it, and it's also very expensive. And if you think about it, the type of person that this hobby appeals to is very minute. I mean, that's why it shows in the numbers. If you compare us to people who play video games, or even people who are into board games, you're going to see that this hobby, because of the various things that you have to do, it's very hard to get into. So just from that standpoint, this guy is just kind of off the wrong foot. Okay, I mean, to be into this hobby, you have to have an appreciation for tiny little models. You have to be okay with the fact that you have to assemble tiny little models. You have to be okay with the fact that you're going to spend hundreds of dollars on little models, and you have to be okay with the fact that nothing is done for you. It's not like a video game. So the rules you're going to have to, the rules and mechanics in video games, you can learn in a very quick tutorial. Miniature wargaming involves reading. You have to own a copy of the rules, and you have to interpret those rules. In a video game, you can't necessarily break rules because you're not permitted to by the programming. The other thing is tabletop war games are all versus. I mean, there might be a few exceptions to that rule, but in general, you are playing against someone, and the goal is to beat them. So that means that if we look at our consumer, us, now we have to be okay with, we have to have a slightly competitive side, and that'll vary. There, of course, there's some war gamers that are going to be super competitive, and some, like myself, I'm pretty lax. But at the end of the day, you're still somewhat competitive. So you have to be somewhat competitive. You have to be into models, and let's face it, one of the big draws to this hobby is collecting the models. There's so many other competitive forms of gaming out there that we could get into, but the models kind of draw us in, and you pretty much have to have an active imagination. And when I say that, it's because the action in the game, in a tabletop war game, it really boils down to, hey, my model was removed from the table, but if you roll a 6 or you get a crit or something like that, it's more of, to that person, it's more than just removing the model from the table. It's like that guy got his head smashed in. So that's what I mean when you have to have you have to have some imagination to enjoy tabletop gaming. That's what I mean. I mean, nothing's spelled out for you as far as narrative or action. It's kind of it kind of takes place in your imagination, if that makes sense. Also, you have to be pretty good with numbers, probability. Uh, you know, you you have to be able to see what what most likely would happen on a random number generator system. So you pile all this shit together, and you're going to get a very specific type of person. Well, I would divide that group into maybe 2 subgroups. Okay, so you're going to get a very competitive gamer who likes models and blah blah blah, all the other stuff that I mentioned. Or you're going to get a very creative person who likes models and is somewhat competitive and blah blah blah. Okay, so it's a pretty small niche market. I mean, we know that this is a niche thing. So to pretend that this is something that would be appealing to everyone or all women, and that the only thing stopping them is the gamer itself, well, that is a little retarded. So right off the bat, I would say this guy is either not very serious, or he likes his crack smoked, if you know what I mean. Okay, but he does go over several points, and I figure I would highlight each one and kind of, I don't know, talk about them or whatever, discuss. So let's go over his specific points on what we scumbag gamers do to piss off women or shun them or keep them away from gaming. Okay, so you present several. This is a scenario, I guess. Uh, all right, so here we go. When you see a woman at the game store, and the very first fucking thing you do is try to hit on her, that's why women don't play this game. Okay. Okay. Uh, I don't see this happening much. Um, and I go to a lot of game stores. I go to a lot of different game stores. Um, and yes, there are women that frequent these game stores. And normally when a really attractive woman goes into a game store, guys will immediately look at the ground. And you want to know why that happens? It's because attractive women are intimidating. So right off the bat, this first scenario is pretty much full of shit. But let's pretend it isn't. Let's say um girl goes to a game store and this guy's like, "Hey baby, what's up?" All right. Um is that really a problem? I don't know. Just being a person of average looks, just being honest here. Um I don't normally get picked up on. So, if it ever happened, I guess it would be, I'd feel flattered. I wouldn't necessarily think it was a problem. And if the person was too pushy, you're in a game store. You report them to the manager and get them banned for life. So, I imagine that this doesn't just happen with gamers. Also, this person believes that women only get picked up on when they go to game stores. Well, it's pretty fucking retarded. Um, I imagine if people get picked up on at the coffee shops, at libraries, at the grocery store. Um, you know, People like to try and initiate conversation with each other. If it weren't for men picking up on women, most of us wouldn't fucking be here. So that's kind of how we survive as a race. Call me crazy, but it's generally up to men to initiate the the courting, as we'll call it. So it's pretty fucking retarded to think that that is a deterrent. I mean, if I don't even understand what he's trying to say. So, like, because men find women attractive, um, therefore women don't game. Seriously, what are you trying to say? Or men or gamers are so fucking in your face that they prevent them from gaming. Okay, that that's not your tabletop gamer. I'm sorry. I'm calling bullshit on that first example. But let's continue. He then goes on to say, let's see if I can crop my windows properly. Um, when you see a woman at the game store, oh no, hold on. When you immediately ask her if she's here to buy something for her boyfriend, that's why women don't play this game. Okay, so are we selling? Are we working at the game store, or are we playing in the game store in this scenario? I don't know. Um, I have never said that to anyone, but it happens. Okay, so let's say I think he's talking about employees at this point, and it's a sales technique. Okay, so if I wander into the Hello Kitty store, and there's a Hello Kitty store in our mall, and the salesperson says, hey, are you looking for something for your daughter or nephew or niece? I'm not going to be like, nah, this shit's for me, Holmes, and I'm out. I'm all offended because you didn't know that I was into Hello Kitty. How the fuck should that person know? People make generalizations all the time, and it's not a crime. You know, when you first meet someone, you're basing your impression of them is going to be based on their outwardly appearance. It's just how things are. We try to pretend that that shit doesn't happen, but that's exactly what happens. Are you dressed nice? You go to a car lot. Okay, that salesman's going to size you up. He's going to make a determination based on your age, based on what you're wearing, whether or not you are a serious customer or not, or just someone there to get in a couple of test drives. Is this a crime? Is this a deterrent? No, I don't find this offensive at all. And again, I want this person to share whatever they're smoking with the rest of the group. That's just not fair that you just keep that to yourself, buddy. Because fuck, this one's just like a non. Like, how is this a problem? How is this a problem? Seriously, tell me how. If someone asks you, they make an assumption that you're there to buy something for someone else, uh, because 99% of the consumers of said product are of one, of male, and one female walks into the game store and starts looking around the war machine section, and the guy says, hey, are you looking for something for your son, or are you looking for your boyfriend? Is that offensive? You just have to say no. It's for me. I play this, and as soon as you say that, that person's going to be like, oh, okay, well, we have this and this and that. I mean, it's almost like we're not allowed to make any assumptions whatsoever. It's fucking retarded. But it gets even more retarded, so let's move on. All right, let's go on to point or paragraph, the next paragraph. Sure. Let me get my computer to work properly. Okay. So he then goes on to say, when you spend the entire time when you spend the entire goddamn time she's in the store, leering at her and whispering to your friends, that's why women don't play this game. Okay, so here I'm going to give credit where credit's due. This is actually a more likely scenario than what we've been presented so far. Yeah, I can totally see this happening where attractive woman goes to a game store and you and your buddies are like, hey, check her out, whispering, yeah, right? Um, yeah, interacting with her. You pretty much look at her when she's not looking in your direction. Is this a deterrent for women for getting into gaming? I could actually say yes. Because I'm a fair and balanced person, I could say that this could be a problem for women where they just don't want to be looked at like a piece of meat, and it's a problem in areas outside of gaming. It's, when they go work out, for example. That's why you have certain places that are just women only places where they work out. They just want to work out and not have to deal with the bullshit of being looked at or objectified. Um, yeah, so in all honesty, seriously, what can you do about that? If the guy's not doing anything to you, he thinks you're attractive, so he looks your way. Again, this is nature. This happens both ways, and it happens in and outside of game stores. It's just something that you know I imagine, a guy with six-pack abs. He's at the beach. He's gonna get some looks at by some women and some men, right? Um, a girl with a nice body goes to the beach. She's gonna get some looks at. It's just, yeah. I mean, are we trying to say that as a society we should just never look at people? We should never, you know, be attracted? I don't know. I don't understand this whole shaming the heterosexual thing. It's a common trend. I understand. You know, men are given a hard time for giving into their hormones or whatever. And I would say that in this case, basically, people game with whoever they're comfortable with. And anytime you meet a new group of people, this just happened recently. I discovered there's a game store near my house, but I didn't know anyone at that game store. First day walking in, I run into some people. It's a little awkward at first, but they happen to play the same game as me, and that game being Infinity. We started talking about the game, blah blah blah, but it was almost like I had to figure out a way to build up and say, hey, did you bring your stuff? You wanna get in a game? This is a social hobby, and it is both a benefit and a curse at times, because if you're not an outwardly going person, it becomes kind of hard to sort of meet someone for the first time and say, hey, let's throw down and have some dice. My guess is, after the initial stares and oohs and ahs, pretty much the guys go back to their games, because I've actually seen that happen, and that's typically what happens, because most guys are chicken shit. They're not going to do anything to the girl. They're much more afraid of her than she is of him, and that's something that this author doesn't realize. I don't know if this author knows women or gaming. It seems like he doesn't know either. But yeah. But like I said, I will say that this is probably the most legit thing he said so far. Is that okay? Yeah, that could prevent someone from joining a group, because if they feel like they're just being looked at in a certain way, that could happen. But it can also happen that people get over that and just fucking throw dice down. Come on, people. Alright, let's move on. Alright, he goes on and he says, let me see. I'm having a hard time cropping stuff today. What the hell? Borrowing my daughter's computer. When she tells you that, yes, she actually does have an army, and you immediately ask, oh, Sisters of Battle. That's why women don't play this game. Okay, what is that? That never happens. No, no, no. Most people that play Sisters of Battle are men. And people that play Sisters of Battle either like the looks of the models, or they think that that army is pretty decent and can win most games. That is what people choose. They choose games, they choose pieces, they choose armies, they choose things, usually for two factors, okay? Either its rules are really good and it's going to help you win, or it looks really badass. People don't like identify with, like, I only play male armies. No, it doesn't matter to them. It's a fucking model. It's a piece of plastic, or it's a piece of metal that either looks really cool or helps you win the game. And so, I mean, people play orcs. How the fuck do you identify with an orc or Skaven or any of these other races that don't actually exist. So the assumption that a woman would only play a all-female army doesn't exist. Like that conversation's like, oh, you only play the girl models. It's I don't even understand. Okay. Um. Besides, sisters' battles are hard to find, right? I don't know. Um. Obviously, this author doesn't even know what. Actually, they're called well. Let's see. When I was playing, they were called witch hunters, and they're part of the Inquisition. And so, if you look at the hierarchy of the imperial, I don't know if you want to call it the hierarchy of the imperial government, the way it's structured, um, the Ordo Hereticus is one of the more powerful groups. It's they actually have more power than Space Marines, and so there's no assumption that the Sisters of Battle are a weak army. They're actually, well, at least when I was playing them, they're a really decent army. They're a really good army. Anything with a 3+, save and the high ballistic skill made them that good. That makes them a formidable army. So yeah, again, this just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But let's move on. So then let's see. After that little doozy, I don't know. It's really preventing women to playing battle. People make assumptions that I only play girls' armies. That's a real deterrent. Yeah. Okay. When she finally shows up to a tournament and you spend the match talking to her like has the mental capacity of a small child, explaining every rule to her in the most patronizing terms possible, and trying to be cute about things. That's why women don't play this game. Okay, tournament play. Tournament play. If you have to be explaining the rules, if you're in a tournament and someone has to explain the rules, you shouldn't be in the tournament. You're not ready. Okay. Tournaments are for your experienced and your hardcore competitive players. That's male or female, doesn't matter. If the tournament scene drives away female wargamers, then there's also the casual gaming scene. But I don't actually think that that's what's happening. I think in tournaments you're judged on your sportsmanship as well as your your strategic prowess. Prowess? Hang on a sec. Just had to close the door for a sec. So yeah, I mean, that kind of shit would actually cost you points in most tournament systems, and most people are in tournaments to try to win and get as many points as possible. So, and plus, I just, I don't know. Female wargamers that are in tournaments are capable generals. I've played against. I've actually been in several tournaments against where I've had to face a female opponent, and they're there to win too because the mentality is the same. If you're in a tournament, you're a competitive player for the most part. I go to tournaments to get a bunch of games in, but I'm there to win. Everyone is there to win. So, male or female, that competitive player is there to stomp your nuts in. And if they don't know the rules, I just don't see that happening. Most people that go to tournaments prepare. They do a lot of preparation. They get in a lot of games before they jump into a tournament. So, again, we need to cry. We need to call bullshit. And yeah, this is definitely bullshit. Okay, so here we go. Um, when you rail about women aren't interested in games with violence, and it's been proven with science, that's why women don't play this game. Well, there's something to be said about that. You can't discount the fact that, you know, most women just don't find this stuff interesting. Actually, let me take that back. When a woman walks into the game store for the first time, let's say she's not a gamer per se, and she just stumbles on the store. This actually happens a lot because game stores are in strip malls or whatever, and so you'll get someone wandering in for the very first time. They actually are very fascinated by the entire hobby. Um, they oftentimes will take pictures or ask questions or what is this? How do you play? That sort of thing. They don't for for the most part, women don't enjoy violence. That's kind of across the board. Um, you can look at action movies. Who's going to those things? You can look at violent sports like boxing and stuff like that. You'll find that the numbers are. I mean, yes, there are women who watch boxing. My wife watches boxing. But generally speaking, and since this guy's painting with a wide fucking brush, I get to paint with mine as well. But yes, there are actually statistics, and for him to just say, "Well, just because you point out statistics, women don't want to play." No, you've got the order reversed there. The statistics reflect the fact that women, on the most part, don't enjoy violence as much as men. That's just, on average, the way it is. And how is that? The statistics aren't preventing women from playing. Okay, the statistics are reflecting what's happening. Okay, you understand? You understand the difference? I don't know. I'm talking to a fucking wall at this point. Um, Alright, I'm gonna go on. When you smell like a pile of shit, for Christ's sakes, take a bath once a week. Goddamn. Once a week, it should be once a day at least. That's why women don't play this game. Okay, this is why a lot of people don't play this game. That's not just a turnoff for women. It's hard to be next to somebody who smells. It's just, that's a fact. Now, this is actually a common, I don't know, it's a stereotype of gamers, but it's real. Stereotypes, kids, I hate to break it to you. Sometimes a stereotype is there for a reason because it's happened on a frequent occurrence that it becomes a stereotype. So yeah, just coming from Kingdom Con, you have to like Kingdom Con is a gaming convention, and I remember the day I came back from it. It was just like I need to jump in the shower and wash that stench, that gamer stench off you. Um, Not all gamers have bad hygiene, but there's enough out there, and I will give credit where credit is due. That would deter women. Women like good smelling things, but so do men. We don't want to smell things foul. I think men though generally will be like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna get my game in anyways," and I'm just gonna beat this guy to the ground, and then vomit later. Yeah. What can I say? That one I think needs to be said to the gamer community. Okay, um, if it's you, man. All right. Nothing. wrong with it. Just realize that, dude, people can smell you, and deodorant is not that expensive. And I know in California there's a drought, but showering once a day is it's just better for humanity. Okay, so I'm gonna give points to the author on that one. Yeah, so that is a deterrent. Okay, here's where it gets more serious. When your G cup tits on your daemonettes, okay, obviously, he doesn't know bra sizes. Daemonettes are maybe C plus, maybe at best. And you think that's funny? That's why women don't play this game. Okay. Uh, I first of all, I don't. Daemonettes aren't that commonly played. But I think what he's talking about is in general. When you see boobies, to be more mature about that. Um, I honestly I have not seen. Maybe this is just in the 40K community. I don't know. Um, I play games where there are more female models than male models, and um, to me or my opponent, it doesn't really matter. You're more focused on the game at hand, whether or not what the model looks like. I don't know. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna I don't know. Maybe that's just a 40K thing, but no, Daemonettes are definitely not G cups. Okay, when you're frothing mad about the idea that maybe somewhere possibly be some sort of important female character somewhere in the fluff because oh my god, Space Marines are always men. What the fuck? So stupid. Fuck you. That's why women don't play the game. Um, Again, he doesn't understand the fluff of 40K. And this is someone who hasn't played in years, but I mean, um, there are plenty of female characters in 40K that are important. Like I said, the female Inquisitors, people like Saint Celestine. Um, oh wow, there's a female Tau commander. It's escaping me. If you guys are still listening to this, put it in the comments who that is. Um, yeah, Space Marines are all male, but that's not the entire game. It's not Space Marines, and no one cares if the character is female or not. No one cares about that. When you're playing the game, you just are the stats good. All you care about, most 40K players, they're stat minded people. Okay, what's its weapon skill? What's its ballistic skill? Toughness, wounds. How many points? What am I getting for that? And it could look like a pile of shit on a 25 mil base. They wouldn't care if it has good enough stats. They'll use it. Um, as far as fluff goes, they just people prefer their fluff to be exciting, to have action in it. Again, no one's mad that a character is female or not. I never hear anybody saying, "Oh my God, if only Saint Celestine was male, then maybe I would field her." Sorry, that's not a thing. Doesn't happen. When you can practically count the number of female models in the game that aren't sisters of battle on a single hand, that's why women don't play this game. Okay, which way do you want it, bro? First, you say that it's bad to assume that women will only play female models, and now you're saying that the barrier to females from playing this game is that there aren't enough female models. You can't have it both ways, right? You can't. All right, it's either we have more female models and assume that that's why females are playing those or getting into the game, or you can't have it both ways. I don't understand. When every female model that does exist wears stripper armor or boob plates, that's why women don't play this game. I love the boob plate argument. It's one of my favorites. Let me tell you something, okay? We're talking fantasy. We're talking sci-fi. Robots don't look the way they do in the 40K universe. No one looks like a space marine. No one. I'm sorry. Um, Shit is meant to look badass. This is an aesthetic looking game. Okay, miniature war games is all about exaggeration. At least your sci-fi fantasy stuff is about exaggeration. It makes it easier to paint for one thing, and it makes it more appealing. You know, we like the look of, you know, big guns. It's not practical to have a giant las cannon on your shoulder. That is not a practical thing. A flamethrower is not practical, but it looks badass. If you look at a lot of the armor designs for men, let's just go over Eldar for example. Eldar, if you were to wear those helmets, those giant fucking helmets, your neck would snap off. Okay, it's not meant to be realistic. Okay, there's no point to having a billion skulls on your power armor. It's it's fantasy. Okay, so female models wearing boob armor. Um, yeah, because that looks freaking cool to most people, obviously. Um, God, it's so weird. It's always guys that are offended by boob armor. I don't know. Yeah, of all the females that I've met that play wargaming, they're not offended by boob armor. But whatever. Um, if you want realistic looking stuff, there's a whole genre of miniature wargaming called historicals, in where they strive for accuracy. But when it comes to science fiction, when it comes to fantasy, it's pretty simple. There's tons of exaggerations. Shit's not realistic. Okay, it's just meant to be visually appealing. Is that stopping women from playing the war games? No. You just said that the number of women models can be, you know, if you just count the entire faction of women, or mostly women, you can count them in a single hand, which is also not true. I just want to go back to that real quick. I mean, you just go to the Eldar, you just go to the Guardian box set. There are plenty of female Guardians, and I'm pretty sure the same for the Dark Eldar. You have witches and stuff like that. Um, so I'm not sure what this guy's trying to say here, but it's almost like you're in a no-win situation. So first you say you don't assume women just are going to play female models, and then you say, um, you know, there's not enough female models, and then you say, okay, but if you make female models, they can't look feminine. You know, you can't accentuate their femininity. Okay, the people that make these models are artists. This is an art. Okay, it's an art form. I'm sick and tired of people acting like fucking Puritans. Um, the female form, the male form, they're celebrated in in these little sculptures. Okay, men are, um, you know, what's the word I'm thinking of? God, maybe it's because it's so late. Are idealized. You know, rippling muscles, or if they're elves, they're tall and skinny. They've got that supermodel look to them. Yeah. So, are women? Women are going to be idealized as well. I don't know why. If you have a problem, if you think that you know, boobs on models are a problem, I don't know what to tell you, man. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say. Um, I don't think this is preventing women from playing. I don't. First of all, I don't think there's a fucking line of millions of women out there that are just like, oh my god, I would totally play War Machine if if these gamers would get out of the fucking way. Okay, gamer. The reality is that these games are built by gamers for gamers. Okay, the guys that have designed War Machine, dystopian wars and stuff like that, they love games, and that they are making them for other people of the same kind. Okay, um, this whole article just I don't know what to fucking say. I'm gonna keep reading because fuck it, we're close to an hour now, and if you're still listening, great. Thanks for listening. Um, let's move on. Da, da, da. He says most of these behaviors are inexcusable. Yeah, let's not talk to women ever, ever, I guess, or try to, assume that they play Sisterhood Battle. That's a crime. Should be locked up for that shit. What the fuck were you thinking, mother effer? Let's see what else he says. I don't want women to be put on pedestals. I don't understand how we're supposed to treat them based on what your article says. Uh, how are we supposed to see them? I, I don't understand. We can't interact with them. We can't talk to them. Um, I don't get it. He says I've seen them proposition before they told someone their name. I've seen them touch incredibly inappropriate ways. I think that's bullshit because that's actually a crime, and you can have someone arrested. You can have them kicked out of the game store. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. They would shrug that off. No woman's going to shrug that off. They're going to slap you in the face if you touch them without them wanting to touch you. Being touched. Um, endure ridicule and patronization. Okay, but you don't want us putting them on pedestals. Make up your fucking mind. I don't understand. These are not ways to treat other human being. Okay, yes, you don't want to just be grabbing and groping another human being without their consent. There's actually crimes against that. And that's not happening in game stores. I don't know, where's this guy gaming at? Jesus Christ. It's not that there are bad people in our hobby. I know that. I know that there are bad people in every hobby. Yeah, that's true. There are shitty people. But I would say that there's less shitty people in tabletop wargaming because the person is right there. So, if you talk too much smack, that person can actually attack you. You know what I mean? It's not like online where you can just talk a bunch of shit and no one does anything about it. It's actually much more cordial because you're face to face. So I'm not sure where he's getting with this. When you allow misogynistic and homophobic slurs to become the norm for the speech in your hobby, I assume he's talking about smack talking. And like I said, it's in the tabletop world compared to the first-person shooter world, compared to the MMO world, compared to Dota's. Yeah. No. We are a lot more cordial. Sorry. And I have never seen anyone, just flat out call somebody, there's repercussions for this. See, and it's almost like this person doesn't believe that there are rules and regulations. And when you go to a game store, There's no managers, there's no staff working there to prevent this. This guy is he's on some good shit here, smoking some good crack. Um, when you let the trolls and neckbeards, I like how he insults the gamer like nonstop in this whole article, but says, you know, that we have to be better people. You see the point where I can't take this shit seriously. Um, Trolls and neckbeards and the horrible little teenage fuckwads that have hormones and brain cells. Well, yeah, we all have hormones. Um, Dominate the representation of your hobby. Okay, how are we supposed to, if that's the norm, let's say neckbeards are the norm of our hobby. That's the norm of our hobby. Yeah, that's, what are we supposed to do? If you have a neckbeard, you can't play 40K. If you are overweight, you can't play Infinity. What are you trying to say, man? We have to represent. We have to, you know, put on a political campaign to make us look better. You know what? If that's the majority of our players, that's what it is. It's not. That's. It's not. Why would we present otherwise? Um, Assuming that's true, and I'm going along with. I'm basing what he's saying as absolute truth. And if most players are neckbeards and misogynistic, homophobic, just rude people, wouldn't it be worse to be like misrepresenting the crowd? I mean, it's not like that, but I don't see the wargaming community as a bunch of misogynistic, homophobic people. But obviously this author does see that as the norm and then wants us to represent us in a different light. Well, that would just set up people for failure. Okay. As he goes on, and then he actually, at the end of it, he has some suggestions for us that will correct all this bad shit in the hobby. Okay, so we have to change the hobby, okay, to actually include some women. It will take some steps. Okay, I can't wait to hear. Let's see. Let's read what he says here. It will take. All right. And they aren't going to work if the only reason you want girls around is to have something with boobs to talk to. Do you not understand, men? Yes, we want to. That's actually the dream, buddy, is to have someone that you're in a relationship with that is into the same hobby as you. Why is that a bad thing? I don't get it. Okay, guess what? Most women have gotten pretty good at spotting that a mile away and deal with it consistently. Okay, so then why is it a problem? If they are not attracted to you, they will let you know, and then you can move on from there. We actually want to foster inclusion. Oh God, there's some social justice words being flung around here. We need to stop all the shit listed above. We need to tell the assholes who are ruining things to stop. Some of these assholes may be your friends. You have to tell them it's okay to be polite about it, but it needs to happen. We also need to look to GW for change. That's probably the most hilarious statement of this whole article. Yes, GW cares about its community. We need to let GW know that there are some actual female models being produced. Okay, jackass. You don't know GW's line, obviously, because not only are there Sisters Battle, and like I pointed out, with the Eldar and Dark Eldar, there are female models in that range. You can go into all of their ranges. Blood Bowl, there are Amazons, and females for the Dark Elves and the Wood Elf players as well. I don't know what he's saying here, but okay. Yeah, so GW needs to make more female models apparently, and they can't look like females, or this guy will get pissed off as well. You can leave them out of the Space Marines because Space Marines have a very specific way of being made. Space Marines are they're kind of, I don't know if they're not clones, but basically for Space Marines, it's they're gene seeds and there's all kinds of stuff involved. They're kind of made warriors, okay. But the Guard, the Inquisition, yes, Sisters of Battle are part of the Inquisition, you fucktard. Xeno races, we mentioned the Eldar, Chaos. You in your own article mentioned Daemonettes, so what are you smoking? Women aren't stupid, they can tell where they aren't wanted. How about we flip the script on that and say, can we pull women? You can show them pictures of 40K, and I'll go around my neighborhood and I'll talk to the average woman on the street and say, hey, would you want to spend $850 on little toys and play with them on tables? Most people are going to say no. It's not that women want to play, for the most part, are interested in 40K. For the most part, most women aren't interested in 40K. Most people aren't interested in 40K. Get that through your fucking head. So that's basically the article. It's a fun read, as you could tell. Yeah, and wow, we have gone really way over. And if you listen to all this, thanks. We did have one comment from last week, so I do have a comment section. So every week I'm going to go over the previous video's comments. One person, thank you very much for commenting, commented on my last video. And the question was, what game would you like to play more if you had unlimited funds and time? And it was Cameron of Listen While You Play, which is an awesome channel that no longer does videos. Why is that, Cam? Why? Anyways, so he commented, basically you'd want to play more War Machine and Horde and Star Wars. And yeah. So anyways, guys, thanks for listening. And thank you, Cameron, from Listen While You Play, for commenting. And again, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Take a look at the article, and I will see you on the next ramble.